Welcome to the Stochastic MLB Strategy Show. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I'm here with a hungover Adam Scherer. You can find him on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And this show is sponsored by SoRare MLB, which is a collection of digital trading cards and an NFT-based free-to-play baseball game. We're going to jump right into the early slate. I think I'm going to do no ad reads until we're done with the early slate because it does start in 17 minutes. So, Adam, we will fly through it. How you feeling this morning?
Feel great, man.
Right.
Absolutely.
Glad to hear that you're feeling great. All right. We
What'd
got
you say?
6 games. What do you say?
I didn't hear what you said.
I just said I'm glad to hear that you're feeling great.
Yeah.
We've got 6 games to get through. So we'll go kind of quick through these first 6 games in case any of you are playing on this early slate. No funny business, not getting sidetracked here. We'll jump right in. The first game of the early slate, Adam, is Miami at Atlanta. We've got Braxton Garrett on the mound for the Marlins. Kyle Wright here for Atlanta. Do you have any interest in these pitchers?
Definitely have interest in Kyle Wright, projected for 31% ownership on DraftKings, 19% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 28% chance of being a top 2 value. That's highest on the slate at 6,600. It's just a really, really cheap price tag for Wright. So definitely interested in getting there. As far as Garrett goes, clearly a tough matchup against Atlanta, a very, very dangerous spot. He is 6,700. He's pulling 3% ownership. So, if you wanted to argue that he's 1/10 the ownership of Kyle Wright and he's a decent pitcher and allows you to save some ownership, sure. But outside of that, there's nothing that makes me actually like Garrett in the spot.
Yeah, and as Josh plays DFS, he asked, how do we feel about the weather here? This is the one iffy weather spot on the early slate. It's going to be raining throughout the day. It's really tough to predict what they're actually going to do. Like, they probably would have an opportunity to play if they want to, but sometimes teams just decide not to risk it when there is rain throughout the day. So does that affect your interest in you didn't have much interest in the pitchers, I guess. Does that affect your interest in the pitchers at all?
I mean, if the game plays, if it starts on time, I think you kind of just go with it. I plan on playing Kyle Wright today as long as the game starts. If they delay, then I think it changes things. But assuming that they start on time, I'm going to just roll with it.
Okay, sounds good. And it starts in 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So they're probably started on time. What about the bats in this one?
The Braves look decent. Braxton Garrett is a pretty good pitcher, 3.4 xFIP since the start of last year, 23 to 24% strikeout percentage. But you just get so much upside in this Braves lineup. Sean Murphy has been fantastic this year. Ronald Acuna, we know how good he is. You get Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies from the right side is always nice. So getting to some Braves here certainly makes sense. Looking at the top stacks tool, they are coming in the middle of the pack, 8.5% chance of being the top stack, 9.5% ownership. So ownership more or less, where it should be. You're not getting a contrarian team by any stretch, but there are 3 teams on the slate that are projected to be more popular. So I don't think the ownership's a huge concern.
Okay, and then how do you rank the 4 sides?
Kyle Wright 1, Braves 2, Garrett 3, Marlins 4.
All right, and we'll move right on to Dodgers at Pirates. We've got Julio Urias on the mound for the Dodgers, Mitch Keller for the Pirates. Adam, any interest in these pitchers?
Yeah, Urias looks pretty good here. 3.3 implied run total for the Pirates. This is a team that's actually been really good this year, and I just didn't really notice until yesterday. I think they're 16-8 with a plus 24 run differential, but I still expect the Pirates to fall off. I don't view them as a team that you should be shying away from taking pitchers against. Vegas is on board as well. Again, 3.3 implied run total here. You're in Pittsburgh, which is a good place to pitch also. So Urias is pulling 27.5% ownership on DraftKings, makes him the 3rd highest owned pitcher. 23% chance of being a top 2 scorer is 2nd highest. Certainly like getting there. Not particularly interested in getting to Mitch Keller. He's sort of like Braxton Garrett, where he's an okay pitcher, but tough spot against the Dodgers. He is pulling 4.5% ownership with a 15% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. So you can, again, make that contrarian play argument, but he's also $9,200. So you're paying up to be contrarian in addition to paying up to take a pretty average pitcher against the Dodgers.
Yeah, really tough spot there for Keller. What about the bats?
Always happy to get to Dodgers bats. This lineup is a bit weaker than normal, has been for the last few days, but you still get Mookie, Freeman, Outman. Those guys all look good. You have a 2K flat Michael Busch, who was just called up a couple days ago. So you get some value there. So it's not as good a lineup as normal. They do only have a 4.2 implied run total. The park sucks for hitting. So still some interest, just not as much as usual. 8.5% chance of being the top stack. 15% chance of being the top value is tied for 2nd on the slate. 13% ownership is coming in 3rd. So they are likely to be popular. As far as the Pirates go, I don't have interest.
Okay. So then how would you rank the four sides?
Urias 1, Dodgers 2, Keller 3, Pirates 4.
I got to say, if I'm going to go rapid fire with anybody here, Adam, I think you're the best to do it with. We're through 2 games already, and it's taken us like 3 minutes. So we're doing well here. Seattle at Philadelphia. We've got George Kirby on the mound for the Mariners, Matthew Strom for the Phillies. Adam, any interest in these pitchers?
Yeah, they both look pretty solid here. George Kirby, 18% ownership, Matt Strom, 16%. We saw Strom come out and just strike out pretty much everybody in his last start. He, in that start, also threw 82 pitches, so that was the most he's thrown this year. Had 11 strikeouts and 5 1/3. Obviously, you're not expecting him to repeat that performance, but this is someone that has solid strikeout stuff. He's getting more and more stretched out. Last year, he was used only as a reliever. This year, obviously, he's starting. Not the easiest matchup against the Mariners, but he is reasonably priced at 7,200. Similarly for Kirby, just a solid pitcher overall, 18% ownership. Not the best matchup against the Phillies, but we've talked about it a lot. This lineup isn't bad, but it's not as strong as it's supposed to be. You also don't have JT Realmuto today. You have Garrett Stubbs instead, so that makes the lineup even thinner. Perfectly fine getting to either one of these pitchers.
Yep. And then how about the bats?
Not a ton of interest, but it is a favorable hitter's park. Clearly, if you get to guys like Julio Rodriguez, Ty France, Teoscar Hernandez, they're going to be fine. Similarly, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos. There's no problem getting to those guys, but neither offense stands out as a spot that I really want to target. Looking at the top stacks tool, Seattle is actually coming in 4th, which kind of surprises me. 9.5% chance of being the top stack, 7.5% projected ownership. Philly coming in 4th from the bottom, but still going a little bit under owned, 6% chance of being the top stack, 5% ownership. So to me, they both just look like offenses where you can play them because they're relatively low owned and they have good hitters, but neither pitcher is somebody you're looking at and expecting your hitters to have a lot of success against.
Right. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Strom, Kirby, 1, 2. You can kind of just flip a coin on that one. And then Mariners, Phillies, 3, 4. And you can kind of flip a coin on that one too. I guess I would lean Mariners, but they're kind of the same play.
Okay, perfect. We've got a Wrigley game here. We have San Diego at the Chicago Cubs. Seth Lugo on the mound for the Padres. Hayden Wesneski on the mound for the Cubs. Adam, do you have interest in these pitchers?
Lugo has pretty good strikeout stuff. He's 8,300. It's still pretty chilly in Wrigley. Wind is blowing left to right to left, left to right, one of the two. So it doesn't really matter. But 13% ownership coming into Lugo, 19% chance of being a top 2 pitcher at 8,300. Definitely have some interest there. Not really interested in getting to Wesneski against the Padres. He is really, really cheap at 5,300, but when you have Kyle Wright at 6,600, you have Garrett at 6,700 if you need a contrarian play down there. I just don't really think you're going to need to get all the way down to Wesneski.
Yeah.
You also have Miles Michaelis at 5,600.
What is the weather like here in Wrigley today?
Like 55, wind blowing side to side.
Okay, so not really a hitters or a batters. Hitters or pitchers.
Should play pretty neutral.
Pretty neutral. Okay. With that in mind, how much interest do you have in the bats in this one?
Definitely interest in the Padres bats in particular. They are second in top stack percentage. They are projected to be the highest owned team on the slate because they're not exactly expensive either. 9% chance of being the top value, 13% chance of being the top stack, 19% projected ownership. They're a really good lineup. They have Cronenworth leading off. He's actually pretty cheap as well at 3,700. You have Tatis. Soto, obviously, not hitting for average this year, does still have power. I talked a bit the other day about the tweet Saris had put out about how teams are attacking Juan Soto and how he needs to adjust. Probably happens eventually, but either way, you're getting a high ceiling from him. Bogarts, Machado, Carpenter, like there's just so many good hitters in this lineup. So happy to get there. Less inclined to go to the Cubs. Horner, Swanson, Happ, Suzuki, Mancini, like these guys can all hit, but Lugo's a pretty solid pitcher. I don't have as much interest in the Cubs.
Okay. How would you rank the 4 sides?
Padres bats 1, Lugo 2, Cubs bats 3, Wesneski 4.
Perfect. St. Louis at San Francisco. We've got Miles Michaelis on the mound for the Cardinals, Logan Webb for the Giants. Are you playing either of these pitchers, Adam?
Yeah. So Logan Webb, tough matchup for him, but he is 3rd in top 2 pitcher percentage at 22%, 17% projected ownership. 8,600 is a pretty fair price tag there. Not a great strikeout pitcher, but does a good job of limiting power. This Park does a good job of limiting power. Webb's, just a good pitcher overall. And then Michaelis is third from the bottom in top 2 pitcher percentage. But if you do need to save money, you can go there. He's only $5,600, pulling 11% ownership, 26% chance of being a top 2 value, is second on the slate behind Kyle Wright. It's just, a pitcher that is decent, not great at getting strikeouts, decent at limiting runs, but at 5,600, he's priced like a guy that has no business in the major leagues, which isn't the case. Sub 4 xFIP since last year, 19% strikeout percentage. He's kind of just a guy, but he's a guy that should realistically be like $7,000.
Okay, and then how about the bats in this one?
Not a ton of interest there. The park, is really tough to hit home runs. I typically think this park is more favorable for FanDuel scoring than DraftKings because, FanDuel, again, like home runs are just weighted less. You still obviously love home runs on FanDuel, but they're a little bit less important. Michaelis gives up a normal amount of power. Logan Webb gives up basically no power. So not really interested in either offense.
All right. And then how would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Webb 1, Michaelis 2 because he's so cheap. Giants 3, Cardinals 4.
We are crushing this. We just have one game left, and then we can take a breath. We've got the A's at the Angels. JP Sears on the mound for the A's. Shohei Ohtani for the Angels. The question was posed to me: 100% Shohei Ohtani on the early slate. I think the answer is maybe. What do you think of the pitchers here, Adam?
Yeah, Ohtani clearly looks like the best pitcher. Good matchup. Good hitter spark. That's like the only negative here, but basically a 3 implied run total for Oakland. Not a lot of great pitching today. We've talked about a lot of like serviceable pitchers, but there hasn't been anything that really stands out as an elite option. Urias, probably the closest thing so far that we had talked about. Kyle Wright from a value standpoint, but Ohtani clearly the SP1 on this slate.
Yep.
And I don't have interest in JP Sears.
Okay. And then what about the bats?
Angels look like the top offense here. The only thing that sucks for the Angels is Ohtani is pitching, so you can't stack him in DFS as a hitter. But JP Sears in a favorable park for hitters facing Ward, Trout, Rendon, Renfroe, Drury from the right side. Angels look fantastic.
Okay, right on. So we got through all of the games. Now we can do the end of the slate stuff, starting with if you are playing a 3 max contest, you want to play 3 different stacks. Which stacks are you going to, Adam?
Angels, Mariners. This is another weird slate. We've had a lot of these.
Yeah.
Angels, Mariners, Braves.
Braves, interesting. So we have Braves. Yeah, 8.6% chance to be in the top stack. Looks all right. Okay. What about if you three favorite pitchers on this slate?
Ohtani, Urias, Wright.
All right, and then do you have a home run pick here?
Any right-handed bat on the Angels. I'll take Renfroe.
All right, let me see who I'll take. I'm going to go Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman, my home run pick. All right. So we've made it through the early slate. If you guys, we really just the first game locks in 4 minutes, so we didn't really necessarily even need to cruise through that one like we did. But I figure people want to get an overall context of the slate before they set lineup. So I think that we did a good job of getting through that quickly. If anybody has any more questions you want to ask us about that, the first game locks in 4 minutes, then we got another 15 minutes before the second game. It's throughout the afternoon, so happy to answer any more questions that you guys have. DM Brian says Adam Scherer isn't even talking faster than normal. Ship is always on 2x speed. Larry says Adam's wondering why can't we do this every show? It'll be done in 30 minutes. Yeah, is that what you're thinking, Adam? Like, why do we?
I literally was just thinking how good my hourly is right now.
Yeah, it's we're just cruising through this damn thing. But we also, I haven't done any reads or anything. There are things that are going to slow down the show in the second half. I just figured it was important to get through that in case people are playing the early slate. So yeah, we can't do that every show because we've got reads to do. We've got, we want to chat with you. I guess there's that too.
Speak for yourself on that one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. I want to chat with you guys. Adam would rather not. He'd rather just be done. But I want to chat with you guys. By the way,
I thought of I could start just putting out a new video, just like 1 minute breaking down the slate. I'm pretty sure I could do it.
I bet you could too. I bet you could do it pretty well. It would just be like, just give the last part that we do, the break down your 3 favorite.
Oh no, I think I could do game by game in a minute.
like every game on a 6-game slate. So it would take you 10 seconds per
people
game.
would have to listen on like quarter X speed, but I think I
Oh
could do
yeah.
it.
No, I think you. I think you
It would
probably
sound
could
like
too.
it would sound like an auctioneer, like speaking
Yeah.
super fast.
I bet you could do it. If you've heard my read when I do the 1-800-GAMBLER read, that's the only time that I'm like, I can actually speak pretty quick when I want to. Like I'm not normally a super fast talker, but once I do that like 1-800-GAMBLER read that that is required, it's I can do that one pretty quickly. So I probably couldn't do it in a minute though, because I have to think too much about this stuff. You're just like rapid fire. You're a pro. You've been doing it a long time. But yeah, I bet you could do it. Speaking of wanting to hang out, if you guys are interested in the NFL at all tonight, I'm going to be doing an NFL draft watch along with Nick Lepre and Isaiah. I should ask him how to pronounce his last name. Sirois. Isaiah Sirois. I have no idea how to pronounce his last name. I'll have to ask him that later. But I'll be doing an NFL watch along tonight. NFL draft watch along. Should be a lot of fun. We're just going to be hanging out from, I believe it starts at 7:30 Central Time until like 10 o'clock. Going to be a long time, but we're just gonna, it's sponsored by Underdog. We'll be talking about, how every pick is going to affect Underdog ADPs, whether it's a good landing spot for various picks, how it affects the division, that kind of stuff. As somebody who loves best ball, I'm happy to jump in and just talk about best ball for 2.5 hours. So hopefully you guys will join us, grab a cocktail. We'll just be hanging out for a couple hours tonight. So yeah, that should be a good time. All right, Adam, we should move on to the evening slate unless we have any other questions. I don't think we do. Stephen Lubitz says that I butchered that last name. I mean, how would you guys pronounce it?
Every time I see it, I'm like, I have no idea how to pronounce this.
Sirois, Sirois, soiree. It's like that's the closest word that I see. I have no idea how to pronounce Isaiah's last name. I'll ask him tonight, and then I'll get it right. But yeah, Stephen, if you want to tell me phonetically how you would pronounce it, I'd be happy to give it another shot. Jake Swell says Brian Reynolds dong against Urias. Yeah, it's sure.
He'll be low owned.
Yeah. If you believe it, you should bet it. Just make sure you pronounce the ad reads right. Yeah, good point, Larry. That's all I really need to do. So rare today. I know how to pronounce that one. I'll be sharing my screen a little bit later. We'll take a look at how my lineup is doing. I think Shane McClanahan must be pitching today, right? This is the last day of the slate, so I hope that he's on the night slate. Otherwise, I was had. Let's see. Okay, good. He is against the White Sox too. Okay, because that's the one thing that I'm like, I have 0 points out of that spot where you get a lot of points. Really looking forward to seeing how he does tonight. Hopefully, I can actually finish well in this so rare contest. All right, we are going to move on to the night slate. I don't think I saw any other questions for the main, so let me move on to the night slate. Looks like your Orioles are going to be the first team. Yep, we've got Orioles and Tigers, the first game on the evening slate. Kyle Gibson on the mound for the Orioles, Joey Wentz for the Tigers. Adam, do you have interest in either of these pitchers?
Some interest in Gibson just because he's 7,400, relatively short slate facing the Tigers, pulling 14% ownership, 14% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Everything just looks fine there. He has gotten hit pretty hard this year. In terms of expected power, he has not been very good. 221 expected ISO to lefties, 226 to righties. Does have a 24% strikeout percentage against righties, only 16% to lefties. So not somebody I have a ton of confidence in, but typically going to eat innings. He's cheap. The Tigers aren't very good at hitting. So if you need to save a little bit of money, I think Gibson's fine. Wentz is dirt cheap at 5,100, but not somebody I'm really looking to get to here against the Orioles.
Okay. And then what about the bats in this one?
Yeah, I think the bats here look pretty good. Wentz is nothing special as a pitcher. I do typically prefer Baltimore against right-handed pitching, but 237 expected ISO to righties so far this year from Wentz, 189 since the start of last year. You're going to get a right-handed heavy lineup for Baltimore. The problem is just that a lot of their best hitters are left-handed. So like you're probably going to get Mullins toward the bottom of the order or not playing. Henderson's going to move down in the lineup, but Rutschman will hit from the right side. Mountcastle, obviously right-handed. Santander, Urias, you should get James McCann in there as a cheap catcher option as well. Hopefully Mateo's back in the lineup today. So there's still plenty of upside here for the Orioles. And then similarly for the Tigers, when I do go to their bats, it's lefties that I prefer. And that sets up pretty nicely here against Gibson, where he has given up power to lefties. Here you have Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter in particular are going to look good. Akil Baddoo, Nick Maton, all both from the left side as well. So definitely interested in bats here. And I think that from a DFS standpoint, the Tigers actually look a little bit better than their 3.7 implied run total suggests.
Nice. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Orioles bats, Gibson, Tigers bats, Wentz.
Okay. Stephen Lewis says I would go Sirwa, Isaiah Sirwa. Yeah, I guess I could see that. That makes sense. And he says, or you could just pronounce it so rare. I like that. I could just call it so rare. Kill two birds with one stone, as Steven says. I like that idea. I got two conflicting. Andy Melman says Braves just got underway. Arnold Lane says looks like it's going to be postponed. Weather looks brutal the rest of the day. Really hard to say what's going to happen in this Braves game, but it's too late to make any changes.
I just like panicked because I saw Arnold's thing about it being postponed, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to have already started.
Yeah, so I think he's thinking that it's going to be like an in-game postponement, but who knows? I mean, I think that there, from what I can tell, from what I've read, there are some like dry spots throughout the day.
Kyler Wright has points right now, so the game is playing.
Okay, the game is going right now, but it's just a matter of how far into, like, do they get 5 or 6 innings into it before they delay it or something? Because obviously the pitcher.
I don't care. Give me a complete game shutout for Kyler Wright in 5 innings.
Yeah, that's true. Would they count that if it is 5 innings? I forget how they do that.
So now I think it automatically actually, I don't remember what the rules are on it now.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it might be if the game is delayed, but yeah, I forget how DraftKings handles these things. All right, next game on the late slate, we have the Washington Nationals at the New York Mets. Trevor Williams on the mound for the Nationals. Joey Lucchesi on the mound for the Mets. Adam, any interest in these pitchers?
Some interest potentially in Lucchesi going up against the Nats. 6,400. He missed like all of last year with, I believe, Tommy John surgery. But this is somebody that for his career has like a 3.9 to 4 xFIP, like 22, 23% strikeout percentage. I don't have his page in front of me, but going off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that all of that is correct. In his first start, he went 7 innings through 97 pitches, so fully stretched out, only 6,400. Nats have a 3.3 implied run total. Lucchesi looks like a pretty solid value pitcher here, pulling 30% ownership, 20% chance of being a top 2 scorer, and then also a 32.5% chance of being a top 2 value. He just looks good. On the other side, not really interested in Trevor Williams. Since last year, he's actually been really, really good at striking out righties and limiting power to righties, but he's also been really, really bad at striking out lefties and limiting power to lefties. Only a 8.8% strikeout percentage against lefties since last year, 257 expected ISO. The Mets lineup has certainly made some not very good pitchers look good recently, but you have a lot of left-handed power here with Nimmo, Lindor, McNeil, Vogelbach, Beatty. I like getting to the Mets, and I'm not looking to get to Trevor Williams.
Okay. Any interest in the Nats?
Not particularly.
Okay. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Lucchesi 1, Mets 2, Nats 3, Williams 4.
Okay. Yeah. Aggressive Goose says, I think on DK, if the game counts, the contest counts. Yeah, that is true. I know that much to be true. I just don't know if they if you get a complete game, if the game doesn't go all the
I'm
way.
almost positive you do. If the game gets shortened by rain, I'm almost positive you do.
Like 5 innings in, if it gets shortened and you went the full 5 innings, get the cleat. What if it's less than 5 innings? Do they just not count the game?
That's what changed recently. If I remember correctly. So it used to be that if you got rained out after 3 innings or something, before it was an official game, the stats would just disappear.
Right.
I think either the COVID season or the year after that, they started just suspending every game. So the stats now I think still count, and then they just resume the game later. Obviously, stats that happen the rest of the game don't count. But
right.
If I'm right, now those at any points that you accumulate, you keep, because they don't actually start the game over.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's correct too. It was super frustrating when it would be my guy has a home run and then it just doesn't count. It's like, no, count the stats that they already have. What are you doing?
And that's that was my point of reference when there was all that debate over what to do in fantasy with the Bills Bengals game.
Yeah, in baseball.
It was we don't have a precedent in football, but we definitely have a precedent in baseball of stuff happens in a game and then it ends up not being an official game and the stats go away.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I think that the way they handled that, at least on Underdog, was they did count the stats that already happened. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Yes, I don't remember what they did. I definitely thought that they should not count them.
Yeah, I didn't have a strong opinion on that, but I don't think it made some difference because Tyler Boyd scored a touchdown. I know, but yeah, whatever. Okay, we are going to move on to the next game, but first, let me tell you guys a little bit about our sponsor, So Rare. Let me pull up my screen here. share my screen, see how my So Rare lineup is doing so far this week. It's a really fun way to play the game. Again, these are cards that you buy on the marketplace. You can use them for the length of a player's career in different contests. As you can see here, Spencer Strider doing quite well for me, 56 fantasy points in his one start this week. Really valuable to be able to have a starting pitcher in that relief pitcher spot. Finally got some points out of Anthony Rizzo, has 11 points for me now. Brandon Lau has -4, so that hurts. Mookie Betts has -1, so that hurts. But yeah, Aaron Judge doing well here for me. Freddie Freeman doing well. In general, happy with the lineup. I think that if Shane McClanahan puts up, 50 fantasy points against the White Sox, which very much within the realm of possibility, get to positive with Betts, Lau, at least one of these guys. Currently, I'm 44 points away from winning any kind of reward. So, not my best start, but I'm going to be playing again tomorrow. Actually, let's take a look real quick at the contest that is coming up. And again, if you haven't yet signed up for So Rare, you can just play in these common contests for free. When you do sign up, they will give you cards, or they'll give you cards as options. So you can choose however many cards you need to make a lineup. They'll give you the option of who you want to pick for those cards. Really cool way to get started. And then you can you can win cards that are actually worth money by just playing for free. So it's free to enter. Really cool contest. I'm just going to take a quick look at whether any of my starting pitchers are actually pitching this week. All right, so this is the lineup that you're setting, scoring cumulative. Okay, yeah. I confirmed this to somebody already. Scoring is cumulative, so your bats, like throughout the week, you get points. It's not just based on their best score like it is in basketball. You actually get cumulative points for your bats. Very cool here. Looks like I don't have any projected pitchers in this. Oh, no, never mind. Spencer Strider, projected pitcher, Jacob deGrom. Okay, good to see that. So this upcoming slate, once again, I've got a couple projected starting pitchers. Going to make it easier to set my lineups. I'm not going to set a lineup right now on Thursday for a slate that starts on Friday, but definitely check that out. Hang on one second, guys, and let me get you that link once again in case any of you want to check it out. New slate starting tomorrow, and again, you can start for free if you want to. I'm playing the limited contest, which I had to pay money for the cards, but so far I haven't bought any new cards. I put like $600 in, bought a bunch of cards, and I've just been rotating the cards that I bought to begin the season. It is really easy to do so. Obviously, some weeks maybe you'll be better off buying some new cards, or it'll be team going to Coors and you want those bats, but in general, you can just use the same cards over and over and make pretty good lineups if you have the right cards. So that's what I've been doing so far. Just posted the link in chat if you want to check out So Rare. Really fun way to play fantasy sports. It's not quite daily, but it's also not like season long. It's like you just, it's over the course of 3-4 days at a time. You're setting lineups and accumulating points. Really, really fun new way to attack fantasy sports. And again, these cards are collectibles. You have them for the length of a player's career. You can play them in contests, and then beyond that, they're just collectibles. You can hang on to number 2, 5,000 for the limited, I think 1,000 for the rare. And then there are various levels of these cards. So check out So Rare. Link I just posted into chat. Adam, we will continue on with this evening slate. We've got Tampa Bay at the White Sox. My guy, Shane McClanahan on the mound for the Rays. Dylan Cease for the White Sox. Any interest in these pitchers?
Yeah, they're both really good. Obviously, a more difficult matchup for Cease going up against Tampa Bay than for McClanahan against the White Sox. But two of the best pitchers in the American League, certainly interested in either one. McClanahan getting more ownership, deservedly so, 36%, 29% chance of being a top 2 pitcher at 10K. Dylan Cease is third, right behind McClanahan in top 2 pitcher percentage, 27% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 27% ownership. Yeah, just very, very happy to get to either guy. Do prefer McClanahan because of the matchup.
Okay, and then what about the bats?
No.
0 interest in the bats. All right, can you rank the 4 sides?
McClanahan 1, Cease 2, Rays 3, White Sox 4.
All right, that was exactly very easy on that one. We're back to rapid fire. That was just an easy game to break down. All right, Kansas City at my Twins. We've got Zach Greinke on the mound for the Royals. Tyler Mahle for the Twins. You playing any of these pitchers today, Adam?
Yeah, man, I love playing Zach Greinke. No, I mean, Tyler Mahle looks fine. 8K is a reasonable price tag for him. Matchup against KC is decent. He's 4th in top 2 pitcher percentage at 25%, 29% projected ownership. So he looks like a solid option. There's 3 legit aces ahead of him, but then him. So he's fine. Greinke, I'm not interested in getting to. He's pulling 1% ownership, 8% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Just doesn't have the strikeout stuff. Doesn't have a great matchup. I don't think there's any real need to get there.
All right. And how about the bats here?
Minnesota against Greinke looks fine. He still has decent starts from time to time just based on being smart, being a veteran, knowing how to pitch, but doesn't strike guys out. 186 expected ISO to righties since last year, 132 to lefties. So again, not a total gas can, but still a small margin for error for him, given that he throws like 60 miles an hour. Kepler, Correa, Polanco, Buxton, Larnach, Miranda, Gallo, like these guys can all do a lot of damage. So I like getting to the Twins. Not really looking to get to Casey too much against Tyler Mahle. He has in the past had some issues with right-handed power in particular. 175 expected ISO, 203 actual ISO to righties since last year. Bobby Witt's always a solid option. Sal Perez is always a solid option. Franmil Reyes, if you want, if you want to go like cheap home run hunting, Reyes has a decent shot. But overall, not particularly interested in the Royals. Only a 3.3 implied run total, and Tyler Mahle is a good pitcher.
Yeah, but we've got some weather concerns here in Minnesota. It is going to be rainy throughout the day, but it doesn't look like it should affect the game at all. So I don't think we have to factor that in at all.
You're up to like 66 degrees too.
It's beautiful. Yeah, we're seeing like 80 next week. I'm pumped. I was going to have softball tonight. Would have been nice softball weather, but I'm doing this live stream instead of playing softball. So I'm hoping that it rains on them.
Man.
I'm a company man. That's exactly right. I'm hoping that it rains on the softball team, though. I'm not a team player. If I can't play, I don't want anybody to play.
Agreed.
All right.
65 here too, so we have like the same weather.
Wow. Yeah, Minnesota, just like Baltimore. Yeah, we have the same weather. Can you rank the four sides of the Twins game?
Tyler Mahle 1, Twins 2, Kansas City 3, Greinke 4.
Neil Jaworski coming in here. Neil really is the correct spelling. He said we have 2 Neal Neils in chat. That's just it's just tilting to me. People spelling their name Neal.
I feel like that's how you're supposed to spell the last name, not the first name.
Exactly. Thank you. Adam gets it. Neal is the last name. Neil. Neil is the first name. Yeah. Sorry your parents couldn't spell. Really, I apologize to the Neals in chat. Better luck next time, I guess. All right, we have one final game on the slate, and then we can, if you guys have any questions, anything you want to talk about, feel free to throw it into chat. We'll go until at least 12:45. I think we're going to make it at least till 12:45. Sorry, Adam, I know you're trying to get out of here as quickly as possible. We got to at least give him a 45-minute show, I think. All right, we got Yankees.
I was looking to see who Neil Broughton was, but I guess we can blame Neil Broughton's parents in this case.
Is he a hockey player? I feel like he's a hockey player, right?
A hockey player.
Okay.
Minnesota North Stars.
Oh, that's why I know that. I think that at one point he might have been like, I never watched hockey. I might have declared him as my favorite player, though, at one point.
He played from 1980 to 1997.
Yep. So that would have been the period. I mean, I was born in 1983. There was a brief period where I claimed, actually, Mario Lemieux was my favorite player. I claimed Mario Lemieux as my favorite player. I don't know if I ever watched him play hockey. It was just like, oh yeah, he's good and he's not Wayne Gretzky, so he's my favorite player. Same way I chose Scottie Pippen was my favorite basketball player because he wasn't Michael Jordan. I was like, I'm a Bulls fan, but I'm not a Michael Jordan fan. I don't just follow the pack. I chose Scottie Pippen. I think it was the same thing with Mario Lemieux.
Yeah, I don't remember Neil Broughton. I was into hockey in the 90s. I don't remember Neil Broughton.
Probably not that good then.
In hockey in the 90s. Like I was a child, but I liked hockey and had hockey cards and stuff. Like I probably could name more 90s hockey players than I could current hockey players.
Neil Jaworski says, OMG, Neil, you are in Minnesota and don't know who Neil Broughton is. I knew he was a hockey player. That's for me, that's impressive because I don't watch any hockey. I'm trying to remember. I know there's a young kid on the Wild who's really good right now, and the Wild are in the playoffs. I can't, man, I'm so close to remembering what his name is. Some Russian dude. But yeah, I don't watch hockey. So no, I don't really know who anybody is. The final game of the slate. So this is kind of interesting one because we have Andrew Heaney and Garrett Cole on them. We've got Garrett Cole for the Yankees, Andrew Heaney for the Rangers. Adam, how much interest do you have in these pitchers?
A lot in Garrett Cole. Leads the slate in top 2 percentage by a pretty wide margin. He is also the most expensive, but 44% projected ownership, 39% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Looks really good. The Rangers are not a bad offense, but not quite as strong as normal since they still don't have Corey Seager. Bottom of the order is not very good. You kind of just have to navigate your way through Semien, deal with Robbie Grossman probably working 12 pitch at bats. Nate Lowe, we know can hit. Garcia's good. Heim's good. But once you get past those guys, it gets pretty weak. It looks like a good spot for Cole, 3.3 implied run total. On the other side, really big boomer bust spot for Andrew Heaney as usual. Only pulling 11% ownership though. So that does make him really interesting to me in tournaments. 20% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Since the start of last year, he has a 32.7% strikeout percentage. That is the highest mark on this slate, just ahead of Garrett Cole. So you're getting the highest strikeout percentage on the slate at $8,400 and 10% ownership. But he also just gives up a million home runs. So very, very risky, but also, very, very high ceiling at low ownership. I do like that.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the bats in this one?
Yankees upside is massive. It's not their best lineup. You don't have Stanton, you don't have Donaldson, but you do still have plenty of right-handed power in this lineup against a pitcher in Heaney, who, when he's not striking you out, is typically giving up home runs to you. So Yankees stacks, Yankees one-offs, Yankees three-mans, whatever you want to do. All of that works. They're second in top stack percentage at 14%, 16% aggregate ownership, 11% chance of being the top value. Everything just looks, good for them from an upside standpoint. As far as the Rangers go, not particularly interested in taking hitters against Cole.
All right. And how would you rank the four sides of it?
Cole 1, Heaney 2, Yankees 3, Rangers 4.
All right. We will give you guys top stacks, top pitchers, home run picks. But we do have a great offer going on right now. If you are in a legal betting state, BetMGM, you can get up to $1,000 paid back in bet credits and a month of Stochastic Plus Platinum for free when you sign up for BetMGM using the link in the description of this video or using promo code Platinum Sub. So again, if you are in a state that has legal sports betting and you have not yet signed up for BetMGM, this is a pretty incredible offer. If your first bet loses, you'll get paid back in site credits equal to the amount of the first wager. So it's up to $1,000. It doesn't have to be $1,000. If you don't have $1,000 to put in a site, a lot of people don't have $1,000 they can play, but if you just have $20 you want to play and you lose that bet, they're going to give you $20 back in site credit. If you put $100 in, same thing, they'll give you $100 back in site credit. So whatever your first bet is, you'll get paid back in site credits if you do not win the bet. Highly recommend taking advantage of that offer. Again, use promo code Platinum Sub or use the link in the description. On top of that, on top of the site credit on BetMGM, you also get access to a free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum. All the tools we're talking about here, the top stacks tool, top pitchers tool, top batters tool, and then of course the NBA boom bust, all of our tools you get with that free. It's full subscription to Stochastic Plus Platinum. So definitely check that out. Use the link in the description of this video. Adam, are you prepared for some top stacks or top pitchers?
Yeah.
If you're playing a 3-entry contest, you have to pick three. You want to pick 3 different stacks. What stacks are you going to here?
Mets, Yankees. I'm trying to find one contrarian team, but I don't really like any of them. Mets, Yankees, and then give me some Tigers lefties. I'm
trying to interpret. Terry Florida Boy says M. Gore was the sleep Adam was on yesterday. Listen up, boys. I'm trying to. I don't think
I kind of liked Mackenzie Gore in tournaments yesterday.
Okay, and did he do well?
Yeah, he did. I also bet his under 5.5 strikeouts, which did not win.
All right, so didn't go perfectly there.
But yeah, he did well. I didn't. That was like I took a bunch of odd shopper bets yesterday. I did really well on those bets, but like Mackenzie Gore was the one I looked at it. I was like, I kind of disagree with this, but I'm just going to take it anyway. And then he struck out like 7 or 8 dudes.
I get it now. Sleeper. He was a sleeper. Yeah. I was like, what does this have to do with Adam's sleep? I was so confused because I was like, I know you came in here kind of a little bit sleep deprived. Now I get it. He was a sleeper that you were on yesterday. Yeah, I was just like, could not comprehend what that was saying. I bet Neil delivers at almost human says, I bet Neil delivers the mean middle shots. I think you mean hitting it back at the pitcher. I am the pitcher on my team. So absolutely. I try to avoid the pitcher. I also suck at softball. And like, I also like, so I try to avoid hitting the pitcher. I also like, if I swing hard, occasionally I'll be like, all right, I'm going to try again to hit a home run. I just can't make contact with the ball if I swing hard. So I'm shooting for singles. I really suck at softball. I didn't play baseball growing up. It was like the one sport that I never got into. So I'm really bad at softball. So no, if I do hit it back at the pitcher, it's going to be a dribbler. He's going to be just fine. I'm trying to avoid the pitcher. Can't really aim, but I bet Adam would deliver the mean middle shots if you played slow pitch softball.
I haven't played in a while, but no, that's always like in the back of my head is like not to be, because like I naturally just hit like line drives. I don't like hit even in softball. Like I don't really hit home runs. I just hit hard line drives, and so it's always in the back of my mind. Like make sure you actually hit this to left field and not right up the middle.
I'm a pitcher again, but so the first time I ever played slow pitch softball was back when I lived in Boston. I worked in a suburb of Boston and was in a league of just like different people working for their company. So like some friends of mine decided we're going to start a company league for the law firm. When I was a legal aid at the time in Boston, we decided to start a league, and I was a pitcher. And I think in like the second or third game, they decided to make me the pitcher. And it didn't even occur to me at that time that like somebody could hit me with a ball. Like I was like, I'm going to be quick enough. If they hit it back to me, I'm going to catch the ball.
No.
And then I threw it once, and there was a guy who he hit a home run with his first step out. Like he was the power hitter on the game. Hit a home run, like just like hit it so far that even without fences, they're chasing it down. He his second at bat, I pitch it to him, and he just smacked it right back, hit me dead on the chin, just like extremely hard. I was so lucky that it hit me right here instead of like down in my neck or like my nose. Like there was could have gone, or my mouth could have gone so horribly, but I was able to keep pitching. Like everybody was like, "Holy shit! Like, are you okay?" Like thought I was gonna be. I just like continued to play it, and I was just like a little bit like I think shell shocked. But like if it had hit me like anywhere, just like the fact that it hit me right on the chin, I was totally fine. But it was like kind of a wake up call for me.
Did
Like
you
if
get
had,
that like when it's coming at you, like it looks like it's in slow motion? The
Oh yeah,
ball, and
yeah,
then
and it was
yeah.
just like, and then suddenly it hits me, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, what just happened? I do not understand it. But then I like collected myself, tried to find the ball. Nobody's even like going after the ball at that point because they're concerned about me. Even
Yeah.
though like I didn't fall down, I was still up, but everybody's like, "Are you like trying to stop the play?" And I'm trying to find the ball to get it to first. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I,
I've
I
never
did.
pitched in softball. I don't even like playing infield in softball, but
Yeah,
that's like the distinct memory I have from pitching in baseball. The couple times I had line drives hit like right back at me, it was just like how slow it seemed like the ball was coming, even though it wasn't. You just like it looks like it's in slow motion, and then it's just like on you.
yeah. Yeah, it is. It's tough. At this point, I kind of like kind of cover myself right away. Like I know better than to just like let the ball come back at me. Yeah, I could wear a mask. That is a good idea, Terry, Florida boy. Nobody does in my league, and in general, the league I'm in right now is so bad that like there aren't that many batters who hit it hard enough that it's a huge concern. That was a different thing. Like that was in the suburbs in Boston. Like people were just like hitting it hard. The league I'm in now, I'm not as concerned about it. Oh yeah, but so I tried to like tough it out. I was like, I'm not going to sit out a play, and I did. I didn't sit out any plays, but I pretended that I wasn't rattled, and then I realized after the next batter that I was just pitching like completely off the wrong foot, like I was planting the wrong foot, so I was clearly a little bit rattled after that play. But yeah, I don't try to. Moral of the story: I try not to hit it back at the pitcher, and if I did, they probably wouldn't get all that hurt because I can't crush the ball all that hard. All right, Adam, favorite pitchers, 3 favorite pitchers on this evening slate.
Cole, McClanahan, Cease.
Yep.
Lucchesi if you need to save money. Heaney in tournaments, I think makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Wait, sorry. Who do you say again? Cole.
So my actual 3 favorite pitchers are Cole, McClanahan, and Cease. But
Okay. Yeah.
In tournaments, I like the lack of ownership going into Heaney. And if you do need to save money, Joey Lucchesi is definitely too cheap.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Lots of kind of interesting pitching slate because we have like some aces and some decent like value options as well in this one. And then home run pick here.
Kerry Carpenter.
Kerry Carpenter. All right. Let me see who I want. I mean, you and I are like, we allow ourselves to take whoever we want. I still don't think Judge is probably legal.
Judge is fine. Just don't take guys in cores. And there's no cores today. So
all right, I like that. Well, then I'm going to take Judge if I can take Judge.
Yeah, Judge is probably. I don't have like home run odds in front of me. I would assume he is the favorite to hit a home run today, or compared to everybody else.
Yeah, that seems like the best pick. Devin Clyde says decent softball players usually try not to hit the pitcher. I agree with that. I also have some hotheads on my team. I played fall ball a few years back in the suburbs again. So I played generally in Minneapolis. People in Minneapolis very like nice, like are generally like we get along, we joke around with the other teams. I played suburbs fall ball a couple years back and they were way more serious. Like it was, and we also played up a league. Like they were just like these were like former high school baseball teams decided to play softball together. They were way more hardcore about it. And we're all people like I mean I think I'm the worst player on my team currently. I think I was the worst player on that team too. So other people more serious about it than I am. But one of my teammates like started talking shit and then they started intentionally just like hitting hard back at me. And I was like, fuck you. Like, I'm not the guy talking shit to you.
Right.
They started being dicks. So, but in general, you're right. The better softball players try not to hit it at the pitcher. Apologize if they do hit it back to the mound. But yeah, I played one year of fall ball where I was a pitcher. It was also double headers. I was just, I hated it so much. I'm so glad I'm not doing that. All right. Do you guys have any other questions? We've gone the allotted 45 minutes. I want to make it at least through 45 minutes after flying through the early games. We have made it through those 45 minutes, but we will still take any questions. I think that we covered the entire slate pretty well. Adam, what do you think of Jimmy Butler?
So I didn't really see the game last night, but obviously playing out of his mind.
Yeah, as somebody, I'm a certified Butler hater because of the way he left Minnesota. Like, it's not like I loved him when he was in Minnesota. It's not really a personal thing, except for I hated the whole like, oh, I beat the starters at practice story. But then it's like all the stories I hear about is like, oh, they beat the starters in a scrimmage, and then like the starters were, and then he started talking shit after beating them with the third stringers. So then the starters like, fuck you, we're gonna play you again. And Jimmy Butler ran out and was like, no, I'm not playing again after getting the win. Go straight to rage. I'm like, this guy, there's so much that I'm like pisses me off about Jimmy Butler and the narrative around him, like, oh, he's an alpha, he's this, he's that. I'm like, I don't know. So much about Jimmy Butler bothers me, but it is probably just because of the way he left Minnesota.
It is kind of funny that like he gets run off of these teams, and the player that they keep instead of Butler, it just ends up sucking. Karl-Anthony Towns, Ben Simmons.
Right. It is sad that I mean, if the Wolves could go back and just trade Cat and keep Butler, like 1000%, that's what they should have done. But I don't know if that was actually an option. That's
No, and I mean, like it's always at the time they make the right decision, but then with years of hindsight, it just comes out where it's like, oh yeah, no, Jimmy Butler wasn't the problem here.
Right. And it's like, yeah, Tobias Harris, the other one they kept there in Philadelphia, Andrew Wiggins from it. Like, yeah, he's clearly like better than these guys. But at the end of the day, we got Ant as a result. That also, that man, seeing that story made me so sad. Like, Ant assaulted 2 women was like the story going around, and then the video is like, no, he picked up a chair and like accidentally maybe grazed a security guard, and just like, come on. Of course, it could be like maybe there's more to the story than what that video shows, but
yeah, I mean, the video kind of just looked like there was a chair and Anthony Edwards threw it, and maybe it touched somebody.
Right, exactly. That was pissed me right off. If that is the full story there, I just realized I did not set any morning lineup, so hopefully this game does not play all the way out. Ryan Rienebaum asks, best strategy for single entry on FanDuel today, field size less than 5,000. All right, so we're
play
talking
a lineup that scores the most points.
That is a good idea. I've never tried that one. Maybe I'll try that today. Single entry for FanDuel. Let me look at who I might like as a stack here.
Yeah. Baltimore's ownership looks pretty appealing. Like they're 13% owned, but the teams around them are 17, 19, 19. Yeah, I think I like Baltimore on FanDuel.
Yeah, they're getting lower ownership. Yeah, you're right. That's probably where I would have gone also in a single entry. Could go to Tampa. Looks good in the top stacks tool, but don't love the spot.
They do look good in the top stacks tool. It strikes me as a team where like I would probably get to them, and then just because of like my entire process being automated and not having a built-in like I don't want guys against T&Cs, but I would probably get to them and then not like it, and then they'll do poorly, and I'll be like, yeah, this is why I didn't want them.
Yep. Yeah, Baltimore looks like the obvious one. If I weren't going to Baltimore, it's tough. Like, I don't really want to go to any of these super low owned. The weird thing is, though, like typically you can say in single entry, the teams that go that get the most ownership get even more. But in this case, we have 3 teams that are getting like mega ownership. So I'm not totally convinced that it's the Mets that are going to get like way boosted in ownership. I think it might be even more spread out than usual in single entry. So it is it's sort of a tough slate for single entry. I guess if you're asking me, I'd probably just go with my Twins because they're my Twins. But yeah, that's probably. I think Baltimore is probably the right answer there. I like that answer. All right. I don't think, do we have any other questions here? Yeah, Jimmy, the NEIL. I know there are 2 wrong ways to spell Neil. It's NIEL and it's NEAL. NEIL, the only correct way to spell Neil.
People spell it NIEL?
No, they don't. People misspell it all the time.
Oh, okay.
People, frequently spell it. Stephen Leawood says, well, things have really worked out for the Wolves since then. It's come on, Stephen. It's too early to be making fun of the Wolves like that. They do have Ant. That's all I really care about. As long as they have Ant, I feel like they've got a future. With Jaden McDaniels coming back, I hate the trade. I wish they had never made the Gobert trade, but I still like the future of the team with both Ant and Jaden McDaniels. All right, I don't think we have any other questions here, so we might just close this one early. I know Adam and I both have several shows where we're going to be doing throughout the day, so I think that this is a fine one to close out early. Good luck to you guys on your slates. Any final thoughts, Adam?
I'll have my baseball article out shortly, Bet Pro video out shortly, and then I'll be back for MLB Live Before Lock tonight.
MLB Live Before Lock, that's fun. So you get to we'll see what changed on the evening slate for Adam later, and then immediately after MLB. No, it's MLB Live Before Lock. Then there's an NBA Live Before Lock. There's no deeper dive for NBA today because I think it's just one game. I think it's Rinpack and Greg are going to be on NBA Live Before Lock, and then immediately after that, join me and Isaiah. I already forgot how Steven said I should pronounce it. Me and Isaiah and Nick Lepre will be talking about the NFL draft, reacting to the NFL draft, just kind of hanging out. So you guys should come hang out with us, grab a cocktail, grab a beer, grab a water if you don't, if you're not a drinker, whatever you want. Come hang out with us. Should be a good time. And of course, if you have not yet, hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. We will catch you later.